Many thanks indeed for staying tuned. Tonight you're focusing on Jubilee wrangles and BBI. We are having Honorable Samson Cherargei, who is the Nandi Senator, to converse some of these issues and look into what is happening at Jubilee Party at this particular moment. Welcome, Senator.
Thank you.
All right. Now, first of all, my first question to you would be, what is happening in Jubilee Party? We have seen Tangatanga and Keleweke having a back and forth concerning that particular party. Should we say this is the beginning of the end for Jubilee Party?
It can be yes or no, because of course Jubilee has gone a full circle. You remember very well that when the other parties, TNA and URP and other affiliated parties, were collapsed to form one big party called Jubilee, if you look at the ideals and ideas that was launched in Nakuru County, was to bring a united Kenya and a prosperous Kenya where everybody will be. And the second point was to create a national party which has a national outfit, because you remember Kenya has come a long way from 1992, where, and even many years that we have created ethnic conclaves or politically patronage parties across the country, where tribal chiefs, regional parties, ethnic parties, when you hear of a party, like a party Y, you know it belongs to a certain region and should be led by a certain individual of certain community and ethnicity. So the main agenda of Jubilee was to create a party that will, the party with national outlook, the party with national ideology, the party that unite the country. And we wanted the footprints of Jubilee to be in every county and every area in this country. That was the sole aim of Jubilee. Secondly, where Jubilee is at now is that I think President Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto had the vision and idea, like most of us leadership. Along the way, it was hijacked by political conmen and busybodies, and you can see from the communication by the acting Secretary General and a few individuals within the National Management Committee of Jubilee. They don't have powers because, one, you have to appreciate that most of them are interim officials, so they are no substantive office holders. Number two is that they are promoting a different presidential candidate that does not belong to the Jubilee Party. And therefore, these are people who are out of anger and bitterness, and they are also disappointed that the country, Jubilee Party, was moving the country from ethnic-based political parties to a national-based political parties. And in that instance, therefore, you can find that that is why they are issuing these empty threats. And I think they appear as they are weak as they themselves, because we have 8 million voters or 8 million Jubilee supporters as we talk today. So I think from where we sit, these are dying, sadly, these are dying days of Jubilee, and we might start funeral rites for the Jubilee Party. That's unfortunate, sad reality.
Why do you think President Uhuru Kenyatta has remained silent concerning this particular issue? We have not seen him come out forth to give his stand concerning Deputy President William Ruto. Has this party been hijacked, as some of the Tangatanga allies have intimated?
There are two things. Either these people are acting on their own, and you know the challenge is succession politics. Even if you look at historical succession politics, even in 2013 when Kibaki was exiting the stage, there were some people within State House, even they went ahead and formed a political party and even put a candidate by the name of Musalia Mudavadi. So it is normal. Either they, and secondly, either they have the blessings, and some of us have always suspected that these individuals have the blessings of the president. Because the president lives in Kenya, is our leader, he should be aware. Because the argument has been, what makes these people imagine that when you disrespect the deputy president, you are respecting the president? These are people who were elected in a joint ticket. When Kenyans went for voted, they voted for president and the deputy. And that is why the other day when the Muranga chaos erupted, the deputy president said, even if you don't respect me, you must respect the office that I hold, just like any other leadership. Because if we don't allow, if we continue discrediting and discrediting a serious constitutional office like the office of the Deputy President William Ruto will not be there forever. There will other people be there. So why don't we respect the office holders and even the constitutional office? And that has been the question that we, just the way we respect the presidency, You might not like the president that who is there, but because of that respect, you respect the office that they hold, and that is why I think that the president, and on several occasions, we have told the president that he must either these people are acting on his instructions to undermine the deputy president and fight him and insult him and demean him. Because drawing tear gas to a church service that the deputy president was going is a sign of undermining. And you know the fact that many people are saying, let's stop early campaigns. Why was the deputy president going to church? The question would be, on a Sunday, everybody is at home because you work 5 days. Where do you want, if the deputy president can go to a church on a Sunday and meet people, is there a problem? Do you want him to work on Sunday? And he said last week, if you listen to the deputy president, he said everything that has been assigned by the president, he has always done with distinction. And that is what we want to. But it's very sad that elements within government, and it is also so bitter and disappointing, that some of us who work day and night, even in the rerun of elections where the current, the ODM leader, almost some section of the country to boycott elections, the same government is persecuting some of us who assisted in forming the government. And secondly, the same government, apart from politically persecuting us, they have not charged the ODM leader with swearing himself, because that is treason. He should have been arrested longer time ago. He should have been charged with treason, because swearing in yourself as the president of Kenya is in itself treasonable. So those are some of the things when we see, we always feel that most of these us are being persecuted simply, politically persecuted simply, even using agencies like EACC, DCI, DPP, to achieve political. And now the latest entrance in terms of political persecutors is the National Police Service. And you saw what happened when people were lighting tires in Kendall Muranga. They were supervising. So we are worried because, and that is why yesterday we said we have notified the ICC to start taking note of what we call state-sponsored violence against individuals who do not are perceived not to support their cause. And state-sponsored violence is now becoming a new, because they realize they can no longer use ethnic-based violence, because Kenyans have moved from a tribal conflict to a tribal-less conversation of the unity of the country. Now they are using the state-sponsored violence to suppress the voices they think. Because let me ask you, for example, BBI is coming up. That document needs to be popularized. The same people are saying don't do early campaigns. What are you going to do to ensure that the BBI pass?
The difference has been that ODM leaders have said that DP Ruto allies have been on the forefront to campaign for Deputy President William Ruto come 2022. So even as you say that early campaigns are not happening, his key allies have been campaigning for him. Is that not an issue?
I don't think these early campaigns that allies of DP we are doing. One, even all of us, for us who are Christians, we are preparing for the second coming of Christ. We don't know the date and time. We are told it will happen like a rapture. But this one in the Constitution, it is the the second Tuesday of every 5th year, the election is there. We already know the election date of 2022. All leaders from MCA to the president, or presidential candidates, or all candidates from MCA. So everybody, and I've had other leaders, it is normal. All leaders who are running for presidents, like the governor of Machakos, like the NC leader, like the ODM leader, even they are foot soldiers. Allies like us, I've always wished, even personally, I would want to see the deputy president become the 5th president of this Republic of Kenya, because I know his capacity as a national leader, and being the deputy president for that longest time possible, it has already given him an opportunity and enough experience to be able to lead this country to prosperity. We are not in any way doing an early campaign. It is just a commentary that will not, I don't know, our thread is politics. So I don't know whether people want us politicians to start preaching or to start selling makaa or mboga, since so that people can say we are not talking politics. We are a politician, our trade is politician, and our opinion, you remember the Constitution under Article 38. There is what we call political rights. You have a right to express your opinion, the freedom of expression. But that is why we normally say, even if we have had, we say we will support the president to finish his, up to 2022 his agenda. Then, God willing, if Kenyans allow, we will. Some of us who support the deputy president would like to see him succeed President Kenyatta. And you have even when in the first term, and we hope the president will still stand by that. He said 10 for himself as a leader, and then 10 for Dr. William Ruto. And I think at that point, there is no early campaigns we are doing. We are just greeting and saying jambo, and also engaging with Kenyans wherever we are in empowerment programs or whenever we attend functions.
Do you think it's time for Deputy President William Ruto to resign from Jubilee Party altogether, given that you have seen the likes of the Secretary General of the party, Raphael Chuju, drag his name on the mud? Is it about time for him to call it quits?
There are only two positions that you cannot go for election under the Jubilee Constitution. The president, who is the party leader, the deputy, who is the deputy party leader, and the deputy president. So it is in the Constitution of Jubilee. So you can't say, yes, Deputy President William Ruto resign as a deputy party leader or as a deputy party leader and remain as the deputy president. The Constitution of Jubilee is very clear that the deputy party leader is the deputy president. So I think the SG and his cronies and busybodies have not read the Constitution of the Jubilee, and it is sad coming from a Secretary General of a party. Because as a Secretary General of the party, you are a custodian of the party's instruments. He should have read that article. That article is very specific on who becomes the deputy party leader. Other positions, you can go and run, maybe the delegates can elect your National Delegate Council, Conference, and many other, the National Executive Council. So the issue of whether the Deputy President should resign from Jubilee is neither here nor there. We have as equal shares as possible. One, we submit 10,000 per month to the Jubilee Party. I have a right, as much as any other right, to go to Jubilee headquarters as Pankani, because I have the fact that I pay 10,000 shillings monthly subscription. I have a right. Secondly, Jubilee Party, just like other parties, is being funded by the taxpayers' money, the Mwananchi. Why is these people? Why are these people not being very careful? Because it shows that the Jubilee Party is funded by taxpayers' money. Any Kenyan, not even a Jubilee supporter, can ask, can walk to Jubilee Party headquarters. And those threats of saying, oh, don't come to Jubilee Party, and that is why we have told those people, because the problem is they are disappointed or they are bitter and outraged because they have their candidate. And their presidential candidate is the ODM leader. And that is why we have requested them with all due respect. If you want to campaign for Raila Odinga, I am told ODM has now new offices. Just operate from Chungwa House or Capitol Hill offices and support your candidate there without dragging all of us through these shenanigans within Jubilee Party. And I think as a party, as Jubilee as it is now, when it reaches a time, to move, we will move, and we'll move with everything. And I can assure you, those people will remain with the empty shelf the way Kanu, when people moved, because you can't fight people, you can't intimidate people, you can't blackmail people. You will realize by the time you notice there will be many people outside than inside, and they will just collapse that Jubilee. And therefore, I want to say that the issue of the Deputy President resigning or being moved is neither here, because National Management Committee will dare do that thing, because the NMC must get powers from the National Delegate Conference, the National Executive members, and we need to have substantive office holders. As we talk today, the interim party officials are in office. Yet, we are violating the Elections Act, the Political Parties Act. And then what those people should be calling, should have been calling for the elections of the party, not issuing empty threats. And I can tell you, Deputy President Dr. William Ruto, as the Deputy Party Leader, will not go anywhere.
All right.
Come rain, come shine.
Are we seeing a situation of Jubilee Asili now becoming a legitimate party, or the reviving of URP party, given that Deputy President William Ruto must have a political vehicle come the 2022 presidential race?
I've had people talking about Jubilee Asili Center. I think Jubilee Asili Center is just an ordinary center where people who are like-minded can have a conversation, can engage, can compare notes. It is just a consultative, like a meeting point of sharing ideas for the benefit of Kenyans, for the sake of our country. And you can confirm of registrar. I don't think it has been registered, so it has not been registered. So why would somebody feel uncomfortable, would want to say, just confirm? What I'm just saying is that whether URP will be revived when it reaches a point where Jubilee collapses and some of us will move to another political party, we let Kenyans know which political party is that. So at this point, I don't think there is any. Of course, we are doing the final funeral rites for Jubilee Party. When we have buried Jubilee and the mourning period is over, then we can tell the country which political vehicle. And the political vehicle we are likely to bring on the table is that it is a political vehicle that will have a national outlook. We are no longer interested in having ethnic-based political parties. Was that when you come from Mount Kenya region, you must have a political party from Mount Kenya region. And that is why these busybodies, Tuju and his company and Murathes of this world, they want Jubilee to collapse so that we can retreat back to ethnic-based political parties where you will be negotiating not based on development agenda, not based on a capacity of a leader to lead, not based on the future and the vision you have on this country. You will be negotiating in a very weak currency of call my ethnic numbers, my community. You will be bringing on the table, and that is what we need to move from the country. Because if I'll be coming on the table and saying, please, I want to be the minister or I want to be the prime minister, I'm told those are things that are in BBI, I want to be the president, because of the numbers, the tyranny of numbers. I think we are taking this country to a very dangerous road where we have moved from. The national political party will come out with is the political party where Ndorobo, where Turkana, where anybody can walk into that party, feel part of the nation, feel part of the entire conversation, and even have a confidence and can even become a candidate of that political party, regardless of their tribal background. And therefore, other individuals would want an ethnic-based political parties.
Opposition leader Raila Odinga has intimated that BBI will be sort of a tsunami that will carry anyone who is not for it. Where do you think Deputy President William Ruto will stand come that particular situation, given that ODM leader Raila Odinga has said the BBI report will be received by President not sometime this month? What will be next for Deputy President William Ruto?
I am not worried because now we are in the Asla movement and Asla narrative that we have developed. And the conversation, the reason the Deputy President is being fought left, right, and center is because of one issue. It is because he is bringing to the table the conversation of what we call small people. You know, the conversation that the Deputy President is engaging in the country is to have a conversation about the small people. What you call mama mbogas, border riders, the car wash guys, the beba, and many other individuals who are considered small people, and they should not be forming a conversation about a national, serious and national discourse on the way and the future of this country. And that is why we have now the Hustler Nation. This Hustler Nation, in its way, is not about class warfare or anything. It is about the conversation of bringing on the table. Because whenever, as a leader, I'll tell you, whenever I'm even in my county, Nandi, whenever I walk around the street, you get small people saying, as leaders, you have not been listening to us. Now the Deputy President is saying, even as we form the government, regardless of the economic status, we must also ensure the people on the table, including the border individuals, their opinion counts. Because every Kenyan has a right. And every Kenyan, by the way, has one vote. Even myself, as a leader, I have one vote, just like the way Mama Boga has one vote. And every vote counts and matters. And that is why we are giving them the voices. The only fight the Deputy President has is because he has refused to be part of the conversation of ethnic mobilization or whipping of emotions of ethnic. Because these busybodies and political conmen have always thrived either in political violence or in ethnic-based political engagements. Now they have mad with the Deputy President because the Deputy President has decided to have a conversation of tribeless conversation, has decided to have a conversation where every Kenyan in the conversation of the nation matters, from the border to office individuals, from ordinary wananchi to leaders. Because the other people thrive on their currency of betrayal and using ethnic mobilization. And that is where the fight the deputy president is facing. He's not facing other political fight. But I want to assure you, he will, by the way, he has undergone a lot. You can see even small people in government, like even ministers and even OCPD are throwing tear gas to his function. Which other embarrassment will he undergo through? And I'm happy that he has that fortitude and temperament to control himself. Because if he was anybody else, maybe he would have become offended or become bitter or become even unfortunate, because these are the same people. Even you had even the Minister of Environment calling him a clerk, just an ordinary clerk. Yet these are principal assistant, the second person in command. He holds a very powerful office. Those undermining remarks, those demeaning remarks, those even attacking and sponsoring state-sponsored violence. You saw in Kisii, the state-sponsored violence. You saw in Kakamega, the state-sponsored violence. You saw in Murang'a Canal, the state-sponsored violence. So I can assure you he'll survive, because most Kenyans are with him, because he has shown the Kenyans the vision of having a united country where every Kenyan matters, despite of your economic status, your religion, your tribe, your parents, or anybody else. And that is why in future we are saying this is a game of hustlers versus dynasties.
Kenyans have said, even as Deputy President William Ruto is donating wheelbarrows in his movement, they call it the Hustler movement or the wheelbarrow movement, he's sort of not focusing on the Jubilee manifesto that they promised Kenyans in 2017. Therefore, Kenyans are on the losing end, even as Jubilee Party is almost collapsing. What next for Kenyans?
I want to say there is no declaration of wheelbarrow movement, but that may it be, is that what the Deputy President is sharing it on his own personal capacity. Just like anybody, even myself, whenever I support a gender zone, it does not mean that it is part of my manifesto. It means that I'm also human. And when the Deputy President invites, and we know the challenge, we have 6 million plus young people who are either underemployed or do not have opportunity. If we give them mkokoteni, you live in Nairobi and you know, they hire for 100 shillings a wheelbarrow. Wheelbarrow can be used, mkokoteni can be used. Even our women, market women, whenever they take their mzigo, they will need mkokoteni to take them to the stage and then be transported. Even most of the people who eat in hotels here in Nairobi, most of their food are being transported by mkokoteni. So the fact that the Deputy President, in his own way, in his own humility and generosity, because he's a if you look at his history, he's a very generous person. The fact that he's giving, the point, and I've had our colleagues from ODMI, and it makes me laugh, because it is 2 years since Raila Odinga and President Uhuru Kenyatta came for handshake. Where are the fruits of the handshake? Because they told us in March 2018 that the reason Raila Odinga was having a handshake with President Uhuru Kenyatta was to ensure we have vibrance in economy. We increase opportunity, because they were telling Kenyans a cosmetic argument with cosmetic value that it will now become, the country will become stable and therefore the economy will grow. And so they should also be sharing part of the blame on non-performance of Jubilee. And that is why I've had even the ODM leader telling us that Raila Odinga, that and even Musalia Mudavadi, that Deputy President cannot run away from Jubilee Party. Yet they are the ones saying they are supporting President to deliver on development agenda. How can you speak from the suicides of mouth? Number two is there is a Big Four agenda that was rolled up by Jubilee, and I'm disappointed that it is scattering dust in State House, because that Big Four agenda has never been brought to Parliament. Because we expected that Big Four agenda to be brought to Parliament for policy direction and legislative interventions, and even budgeting process, because the Parliament makes the budget of this country. So the Big Four agenda in terms of manufacturing, food security, many other issues, the industries, and even universal health care, it was a good idea that was being conceived. But unfortunately, up to today, it's scattering dust in State House. The question is, the President Uhuru Kenyatta should have given us that Big Four agenda, should have brought to be implemented, and that has been the agenda. And you remember, Deputy President is the principal assistant. People are making him appear as if he's the one supposed to make decisions for the government. The same people are attacking him by saying, no, you must do what the president is doing. So they should be asking President Kenyatta, where is the Big Four agenda? Nowadays, they are partners. They are handshake partners. In fact, let me use a more divine word. We had a covenant agreement with the rest of the country that we need to deliver on stadiums, We need to deliver on 1 million jobs for the young people. We need to ensure the economy improves. We need to ensure farmers, because where I come from largely a county that depends on farming. But unfortunately, farming is in the ICU. Issues of maize has become a problem. Issues of coffee has collapsed. Tea now, they want to bring the tea regulations that are not popular with farmers. Even the sugarcane. Over the weekend, we were in a place called Chemelil, between border of Kisumu and Nandi. The government wants now to lease out the state-owned sugar mills across that region. Yet it has collapsed. So from where we are as a community that prides, and one of the big four agenda, some of us were excited when you talk about food security, because we thought when you have food security, now that we will revive the sector of dairy sector, the issues of tea, the issues of maize, the issues of horticulture, among other things, because we know food security on one of the big four agenda was supposed now to assist our people, especially from Nandi County, North Rift region, and where growing, where farmers are, be it in Nyanza, be it in Coast. But unfortunately, that document, we have never seen it ourselves. We have only seen in media like you saying that we should be having this. So, and I think that is unfortunate and very sad. So for us, I think Jubilee has disappointed Kenyans, and for some of us, our brothers who came through handshake must be ready to share part of the blame, because they are the ones who told us when we come inside the government, even you go to parliament. Some of us were dewaived and removed from our position. They have been given positions like the chair of finance, public finance, and others. They should be telling the country what are they doing, even budgeting process. They are now part of the decisions that are being made in parliament and the decisions that the government made. So you can't tell us that the president is the final decision maker. They should not be making noise. By the way, when they say the Deputy President William Ruto is not performing, they're just telling President Uhuru Kenyatta, you are not performing. Unless they are telling us Deputy President William Ruto is now the president of Kenya. Because that is where back stops. So when you tell, where have you been 7 years, you should be asking also President Uhuru the same question.
All right, that has been Honorable Samson Cherargei, the Nandi Senator, giving us a perspective concerning the turmoil in Jubilee Party. It has been shown that Kenyans will be on the losing end, given the Tanga Tanga and Kieleweke push and pull. Thank you for staying tuned.